Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, you remember, signed Ireland up to the EU Migration and Asylum Pact. It was a terrible decision. Migration rules should be set by sovereign governments that are accountable to the people. Ireland, you might remember, had an opt-out, but the government parties chose not to use it, and this is causing huge problems. For example, it has locked us into an EU framework that takes no account of our membership of a common travel area or the implications of living on a partitioned island. And it means that signing up to the pact was pure folly. But now we're beginning to actually see the cost of this crazy Fianna Fáil Fine Gael decision. This here is the International Protection Bill. It's the law that has to be passed to adhere to the EU Pact. But the government are recklessly rushing this bill, this big bill, despite the fact that there are glaring gaps and problems, all the while, of course, they're failing to address the actual dysfunctions in the asylum system in terms of the amount of time it takes for decisions to be made, ensuring that decisions are enforced, and ending the huge wastages of public monies being paid to private IPAS operators. This week we spent 8 hours in the Dáil discussing this bill, and we only got to actual page 26 of 206 pages. And yet, even just dealing with those 26 pages, the opposition found huge problems with the bill. Now, what we've learned from government is that the bill is actually going to be guillotined after just 4 hours. That means all remaining stages in the Dáil will be gone through in just 4 hours. So what we have are Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael recklessly rushing legislation through to meet an EU deadline and denying the Oireachtas the ability to scrutinise this bill. This is important because they've made a complete mockery of the parliamentary process and of any semblance of democratic discussion taking place. This is even though they've admitted themselves that there are gaps. But they're pushing ahead without proper scrutiny because, as I say, they've locked us into an EU pact and now they're desperately chasing to meet the deadline for that pact. Throughout this process, I've tabled a large number of amendments to the legislation to try and make it a bit better, including a requirement that the bill couldn't come into operation until the Minister could actually assure the Dáil that the Department has the capacity to implement it. I put forward an amendment seeking an assessment of the bill's impact on the common travel area, and I brought forward amendments that are designed to protect Irish sovereignty and the Irish people's right to decide our own migration policy. I brought forward amendments that would improve transparency in relation to IPAS contracts. And when the debate was adjourned this week, we had already begun to discuss what I think is a crucial amendment that I put forward that would ensure that a community impact assessment would take place before any new IPAS centre opened. To date, the location of IPAS centres has been decided by one thing alone, and that's the interests of property owners. And this is an approach that has led to huge anger and frustration within local communities. So next week, TDs will have a chance to resolve that by supporting the Sinn Féin amendment, ensuring that communities have a voice. We also have to tackle the obscene profiteering that has been at the bedrock of the IPAS system. And next week we'll also discuss an amendment that I'll be bringing forward that would introduce an upper cap in terms of the payments that are made for IPAS accommodation and ensure we have transparency. And considering the huge amount of public money that has been spent, it was €1.2 billion last year alone. I hope that TDs will make this important change by supporting my emotion. There are loads of other major concerns about this bill, including the fact that it's actually going to put more work and responsibility on TUSLA, even though there's already plenty of questions about TUSLA's ability to do the work that it already has. Many people would argue TUSLA isn't fit to do what it's already supposed to do. It's really, really wrong that there's a huge amount of amendments to this bill put forward by the opposition that won't even be discussed, let alone voted on. And that's why it's one of the main reasons why Sinn Féin will be opposing this bill. It's the same reason why we opposed the EU Migration Pact, because it's not in Ireland's interest. It won't sort out the mess of our asylum system. So if you can, between now and next week, contact your local Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael or independent TD that supports the government. Ask them to support Sinn Féin's amendments and ask them to reject this bill, which is actually going to make the IPAS system even worse. I'll keep people updated on any developments over the coming days, but for now, slán live.